All right, appreciate everyone for joining us for Coach Franklin's College Football Playoff First Round Zoom. As always, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. Let's start with Tyler Donahue, 247. Go ahead.
Thanks for the time, Greg. Thank you, James. We appreciate your time.
You too.
Just curious, your initial reaction to getting a home game for the first round of the playoffs in Beaver Stadium, and additionally, the fact that it is SMU as that initial opponent.
Yeah, having a home game I think is huge for a ton of reasons. Obviously, hopefully a home field advantage. Also for Happy Valley, the community should be a win-win for everybody. So we're excited about that. And then SMU, we're just getting to know them. I literally got them on the TV right now. Starting to get to know them on a obviously much deeper level, understanding what makes them tick, how they operate, what they've done this year to allow them to be successful. I have some background with Coach Lashley, followed his career, from afar. SMU is interesting as a place. When I was at Vanderbilt, we went and visited them for their stadium because we were talking about building a new stadium. So we went and visited a number of schools, and SMU was one of them. Obviously, tremendous history and tradition at SMU. They've done a really good job. Obviously, you look at their roster, very different than ours. I think they have 48 players from the transfer portal. We have 9. Just very different ways of kind of building it. And they've obviously done a really good job. So looking forward to getting to know them a little bit better over the next couple of days.
Go to Greg Pickle, followed by John Sauber.
Coach, thanks for your time.
Hey, Greg, you too.
Coach, you told us earlier this year that you had met with KJ Winston, I think back during maybe October, mid-October. Just curious, there's any chance you think you might get him back for this playoff run, and how you feel your team's health is overall after playing an extra week?
Yeah, no, we will not get KJ back for this year. Like I mentioned before, long-term injury. But the other thing is we came out of that game pretty healthy, didn't have a whole lot of issues. So I always meet with Andy Muttinen after the game in the locker room. He kind of runs down once he's gotten through it all. And we came out of it pretty good. So I think we're in a pretty good place. I don't really see us getting anybody back that's been out, but in terms of who we played with this past week, we were able to come out of that game fairly healthy.
Go to John Sauber, followed by Tyler Donahue.
Hey, James, thanks for your time.
Hey, John, you too.
So, with obviously having this week without a game, what do you guys plan on doing for this week ahead, and how important is that for any guys with bumps and bruises or anything like that?
Yeah, this week will be a combination of obviously rest and recovery, getting a feel for who SMU is, ton of study on them, and then some self-study on ourselves as well. And then we'll do some practice as well. Some of that will be more general, Penn State versus Penn State, almost like early bowl practices, almost like spring ball, where we're just trying to get better at some areas that we think we have some room for improvement. And then obviously, we'll get into SMU. But this week will be most importantly about rest and recovery and getting a head start on these guys.
Go to Tyler Donahue, followed by Seth Engel.
James, Katron Allen, I mean, certainly seemed to take his game to the next level yesterday. I think he was, kind of struggling to get a high yards per carry output the last month or so. Changed in a big way Saturday. Is there anything you would attribute his performance to? And when him and Nick are rolling like that together, what does it do for your team?
Well, obviously, when you're able to put up the numbers that we were able to put up on Saturday, it allows you to be explosive. It allows you to stay on schedule. It allows your play action pass game to really get going. But when Katron rushes for 124 yards and 8.9 yards per carry and Singleton 105 yards and 10.5 yards per carry, and then Nick also, another 43 yards on top of that. Obviously that's the ideal situation, but it starts up front. Our offensive line, I thought, did a really good job against a front that we had a ton of respect for on film and statistically. But our O-line and tight ends did a really good job, and I thought Nick and Katron did a good job of breaking tackles and making people miss and falling forward. So that was a real positive. It's something obviously we'd like to sustain. For the rest of the season. That's going to be important. But it's a challenge because everybody goes in with the mindset on defense that you're going to try to make people one-dimensional and stop the run.
Let's go to Seth Engel, followed by Audrey Snyder.
Hey, James, thanks for the time today.
Hey, Seth.
Are recruits able to visit for a home playoff game? And if so, what kind of opportunity does maybe this present for that from that point of view?
Yeah, this, although this is a Penn State home game, it is not our game. This game is really run by the playoffs, and we don't even control the tickets, so we don't get recruiting tickets. We don't get anything. All the ticket revenue goes to the college football playoff. This we don't really, although it is a home game for us, we don't gain any advantages that way. If recruits want to come to the game, they're welcome to come to the game, but they're going to have to buy their own tickets and those types of things. It's not like a home game where we're able to provide tickets and things like that. So there's advantages, but not as much of an advantage from a recruiting perspective as people may think. Other than obviously, really good players are still able to watch us continue to play this season.
Go to Audrey Snyder, followed by Greg Pickle.
Hey, James, when you kind of get to this point of the year, do you feel like your offense is playing their best ball right now after kind of what you guys were able to do last night?
Well, we'll see. I think, we're getting better, but we'll see. It's all going to be based off of how we play against SMU. I mean, it's what you do on a consistent basis. And although we did some really good things on Saturday, we turned the ball over 2 times, and it's hard to win when you lose the turnover ratio. So we did some really good things to build off of. We got to eliminate those bad football plays that hurt you. But overall, yeah, we're doing some good things. But that'll be decided really in how we play the rest of the season. So I'm going to hold my strong opinions until after the season.
Let's go to Greg Pickle, followed by Tyler Donahue.
Coach, I know you guys always have a plan for everything. So what's your plan for handling the opening of the transfer portal as you also get ready for this college football playoff game?
Yeah, we're moving, and I'm pushing my staff to be very aggressive there. The challenge that I don't think a lot of people think about is typically when your season ends and you're in that time getting ready for a bowl game, you have time to sit down with all of your players and find out what's going on, who's coming back, who's considering going into the transfer portal, who is going into the transfer portal. And a lot of those things impact your decision making on who you're going to try to go out and get to replace those guys with. So it's hard to come up with a plan. We'll do that this week, but we're probably a week behind other programs. I didn't really want to be having those conversations last week when we were getting ready for Oregon. So that's a little bit of a challenge. It's hard to totally know what you want to do in the portal until you know exactly what's going on with your current roster for next year. But I've asked our staff to be aggressive and move, and make some decisions, in positions that we think, we're going to have some needs. So, we'll have a better idea this week.
Tyler, then Seth.
James, I know it's a bowl press conference here, but we're packing so much into a small window. I just wanted to know if you had any comments on Andrew Olish signing with your program on Friday. And you obviously not so subtly seemed to reference him in a press conference last month. He's the top-ranked player in Pennsylvania at our site at 24/7 Sports. So what does his addition mean for you, and what does that home state element mean for you?
Yeah, it's very important. As you guys know, all the way back to my opening press conference, we want to do a great job recruiting the state of Pennsylvania, the region, the footprint. Those things are really important. And we're off to a really good start in this next class, and being able to keep the what people like you guys have ranked as the number one player in the state of Pennsylvania home. I think is very important, and we've been able to do that, more times than not. So that's something that's very important to us. We take a lot of pride in it. I think it makes sense for both parties. It's a win-win. So that was a battle. Ty Howell did a phenomenal job, but he's an impressive young man. I've gotten to know him and his family very well, as you can imagine. Also watched his tape from this year. He came to camp with us 2 years ago, so we got a pretty good idea who he is, and he has a chance to be a weapon for us here in the near future.
Seth Engel.
James, we heard you and also some of the guys last night kind of talk about embracing this opportunity of, kind of this new season that's upon you. How have you kind of seen the team embrace that over the past, 10, 12 hours? And what was it like, finally hearing your selection this morning?
Yeah, I think in the locker room, again, because the season isn't over, I think was handled pretty well. Obviously, there was still some hurt feelings and raw emotions, but overall, I think guys get it and understand that we got a ton of football left in front of us as long as we handle it the right way. And I think our leadership will step up big time. Today, we didn't really do anything formal. We got here, we had a team lunch. And then after we got here and had the team lunch, we just had a team meeting and told them what the next couple of days would look like. And that we would find out later this afternoon where we were playing and who we were playing against. And then that would impact, our full calendar, because whether we were playing a Friday game or a Saturday game, it would impact that. So we already have them all mapped out and scheduled. So the players already received it. And we're ready to go. But it's not like we had a watch party or anything like that. It was a long night and a physical night. So guys, we want them to get rested and recovered, and we're pretty confident that we were going to be in the playoffs. It's just where we were going to be.
Let's go to Max Ralph, followed by Greg Pickle.
Hey, James, appreciate the time. Assuming you've gotten a chance to look a little bit at last night, how do you evaluate where Drew was last night? A couple of interceptions, but also some really big plays. And how far has he come since week one?
Yeah, I think he had probably 5 or 6 plays that were as good of plays that he's had in his career, and probably 5 or 6 plays of better quarterback play that I've ever been around as a college player. But he probably also had 4 or 5 throws that he would like back, throws that he normally doesn't miss that he missed. Also made some big plays with his legs. I'm very, very pleased with his overall development, his maturity, his leadership. He made some huge plays last night to keep us in this thing, and continues to do a great job of distributing the ball to our playmakers, and also managing our run game. We put a lot on the quarterback at the line of scrimmage, and he does a really good job of managing all those things. And I think from year 1 to year 2, he's made a significant jump. And I think that the scary thing and the exciting thing is I still think there's a ton left of development in him.
Let's go to Greg Pickle, followed by Mark Wogenrich.
Coach, you and your staff obviously get talked to. Your on-field staff get talked about a lot, obviously for good reasons. But in a time like this, when you're preparing for a conference title game, you're dealing with signing day, you're dealing with the transfer portal, you're now dealing with a college football playoff. How important are those off-field staff? Well, I guess some of them can be on-field now, but your support staff, your analysts, your recruiting department, things like that to this operation when there's so many things going on all at one time?
Yeah, I think you've heard me talk about this in the past, where I think there was a period where people were complaining about staff sizes in college football. And And I think this week and this week coming up here, this past week and this week coming up here, I think perfect examples of I don't know how you can do it in major college football now without these staffs. We had a signing day during a Big Ten championship week, which typically takes a ton of resources and time and energy. Um, and we were able to do that without the coaches being involved at all, except for myself. And then, with the signing portal, same thing. Getting guys set up, getting guys, here on campus to visit, getting transcripts evaluated, et cetera. All those things, I think are really important and really challenging. And we got to do that while we're preparing to play the number one team in the country, Oregon, and now play SMU, which is ranked.
10th.
What was it?
They're ranked 10th,
Yeah,
number 11 seed.
Thank you. So, obviously we got a lot of different things, a lot of moving parts going on, and having those staffs are critical. So, whether it's Andy Frank or Kenny Sanders or Alan Zamitis, or whether it is, Will Ryman or Ben Kerr, Kevin Threlkill, Destiny Rodriguez, all those people, they do a phenomenal job, and sometimes we take it for granted how we travel and how we operate. They do a phenomenal job for us.
We got time for one more question. Mark Wogenrich.
Thanks.
Hey, Mark.
How are you guys able to label this game as a whiteout? You had mentioned, I think, around that Illinois game, or obviously the whiteout energy, and that there were some other things involved in nomenclature. So how was this able to come about?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I said it earlier in the season, and that it would be cool if we get in a playoff game, that it'd be a whiteout. And then about an hour ago, I saw on social media that I guess the decision had been made and it's going to be. Wasn't a whole lot of conversations besides that. I mentioned it as the possibility. Didn't have any follow-up conversations. We were focused on finishing the season the right way. And it popped up on social media that this game's a whiteout. So not a whole lot more than that. I'm assuming Kincaid and Chris Peterson and Pat Kraft and others, Vinny James could answer that a little bit better than me. But I want to make sure that we're selling big enough white jackets and big enough white parkas to cover the hunting gear, that everybody's got the best chance to follow the whiteout dress code.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach. Appreciate everyone.
Thanks, guys.